How's it going, everyone? This is Dave from Wet Fly Swing, and I just wanted to get in and show you, we're going to tie a little pattern today. This little guy, which I'll show you in a sec here, the Admiral. This is a classic pattern from the old traditional steelhead fly fishing and flies by Trey Combs. So this book has a bunch of little nuggets in here, and we're going to start digging into a few of these. It's got a color plate through on page 81, and it's pretty cool because these are some old traditional patterns that some have been forgotten and some haven't, but I'm going to go through and, as time allows, tie a few more of these traditional patterns and document in here. So this Admiral that we're looking at here is a here's what it says. Basically, it's a steelhead version of the original by Rear Admiral Eustace Baron Rogers, 1855 through 1929. So we're talking a while ago, but it says, the cool thing, it says a little bit more about his history. It says the original Admiral had a scarlet floss body and white primary strip wing. The dressing was intended for rainbows and was not originally set up for steelhead, but it obviously is a pretty cool pattern. So we'll get you zoomed in on this guy and show you here in a second, and we'll get that started. So hope you like this little series I'm going to be doing on some traditional steelhead flies. It's going to be a lot of fun to dig into some of the history and kind of live this through Trey, who I had on the podcast. If you go to the Wet Fly Swing podcast, search it on iTunes, you can find episode number 6 was Trey Combs. So it was a really good episode. But yeah, we're just here. We're going to tie it up and get some of this going. So appreciate you stopping by to hang out, and we'll see you very soon. Thanks. And we're going to start just wrapping back. This is a traditional fly. We're going to wrap back like we do mostly, up almost to the, not quite to the barb, just past the point in between the two. We're going to start off with some red hackle and just get some that's doesn't have to be super thick on this tail. I like to grab a little clump right in here, about that much. Pop that off. And red obviously is a color that a lot of people love. There's a lot of patterns that are actually very similar to this. So the cool thing about doing this, some of these flies now from Trey's book, is it's going to show you, kind of start to connect the dots as far as where some of the history came from, and then also, you know, how a lot of flies grew off of some of these patterns we're doing. So as I do more of these older school patterns, I think it'll be cool to watch, you know, things come together and kind of from that historical perspective. So I'm just going to tie in some gold oval tinsel here. And then we're going to use just some good straight red yarn, and you can use floss. I think actually the original fly, the original Admiral, had a scarlet floss body, and it was intended, I guess the original pattern was intended for rainbow trout, but obviously, as you may know, definitely red is a good color for steelhead. So in the right conditions, this is a good fly to use. So I'm going to essentially kind of copy what you would do with floss and start here. This is on a size 6 Dairiki, number 899, right there. So what I'm going to do is start up front and then wrap back. And what this does is allows me to kind of even up the body as I go. So I'll go all the way back with this floss and make a fairly thin body. Go one more here, And I kind of like the floss actually because it gives it that little hint of fiber sticking out. But this is your standard traditional wet fly, which a lot of the flies in the book that Trey put together were obviously some of the traditional, since he was doing some of the history there. So I'll go right up to the front here and leave myself plenty of room. Right about there. And then you can just wrap the gold, come around. And you can see this is a nice thin body, just like the original. Wrap around there. And once you get that done, I'm just going to go find a hackle. You can see red and gold is sweet, so I'm just going to take a little hackle, the same one I used. This is a fairly webby hackle here, which I like. You don't always have to use super webby. I'm going to do it for this one. Just cut this off. I'm just going to spin a few reps. Maybe, let's see, I might get 2 or 3. Couple little guys, do one more. Yeah, we'll put one more in here, just like that. It just gives it that nice little clean look. I'll pull back here. And then to finish this one up, we're just going to use some white calf tail. You can use bucktail. Not sure the original looks like white bucktail or polar bear, so I use calf tail quite a bit, but since I have it handy, I'm just going to go with that, and we're just going to cut off a little clump. It's about, if you can get a feel for that, and I'm going to, like I do, just take this and flick it off and get it even, pull off some of the longer ones. That looks pretty good. Then we'll just put this right on top. I like to go the wing back just into the tail. Okay, tie it right on top, come down. 1, 3, 4, just like that. I'll cut off these. I didn't mention, but I'll pull this back a little bit, just even that up and get it out of the eye. There you go. I had Trey Combs on episode, what episode? It was episode number 6, I believe, of the Wet Fly Swing podcast. So if you want to check that out, take a look. So we'll just finish up here. It's a little bit of a head. Keep it pretty clean. Cut that off. You can see there's your finished pattern. Like I said, that's the Admiral. Nice little clean steelhead pattern. In the water, the thing's going to look really nice. Just put a little head cement on this baby and you're good to go. So this is Dave from Wet Fly Swing. Come on over and take a look at some of the other stuff we have and see if we got more of these traditional, see how many of these things I can bust out, and should have some fun. We'll talk to you soon.